Hello there, and welcome to this edition of Academy on Air. My name is Ben Tyson. I'm the global lead of live training strategy at Google. Obviously, I'm solo today. Jessie is out, so I'm going to try to not make it as boring because I know she definitely puts a pep in everyone's step, but I'll try to add in a couple of dad jokes just as she does throughout this whole entire training. Today, we're going to talk about the concept of understanding the true value of mobile. Now, I understand that you understand the true value of mobile, but really what we need to accomplish is to give some insights and ideas of how you can pull out the value of mobile to share with your clients to increase their budget and their spend towards mobile. So some of this might be a refresher to some of the mobile measurement courses that we've accomplished within Academy on Air. But the overall goal is to refresh on that, as well as give you some new insights and takeaways of what you can leverage in conversation with your customers. We'll jump into some Google Analytics and show you some ways to pull some cool reports, as well as make some adjustments to your overall strategy, once again, to prove the full value of mobile. But first, why are we here? We are here to unlock that invisible mobile potential spend for all of our clients. This is what we're going to be covering when we talk about the mobile measurement aspect. But what we certainly do know is that the visible mobile potential is obvious to all of our clients. But what they're missing out on is the opportunity that exists if we attribute the correct portions of conversions towards the overall assist that takes place throughout that conversion process. Now, before we get started, I want to just share a statistic with you, and that's that 65% of decisions start on mobile, but they end somewhere else. And today's path to purchase is not really linear. It looks more like a flight map in regards to how consumers are consulting information. In fact, the average consumer consults on average 10.7 sources of information before they ever make a purchase, right? This is up pretty significantly from 2 and 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we saw it at 4.2. 2 years ago, it was at around 8 or 9, and now we're sitting around 10.7, and that's average. If you joined the Partners Connect Home Services event, you saw that the consumers consult 22.4 sources of information. And if you go into law, it's 30 sources of information. The higher spend the product or service, the more sources of information someone's going to consult. So we need to understand what assists are actually taking place in today's consumer journey to be able to better understand how mobile can be a key component as in not only in converting, but in assisting in the conversion throughout the consumer journey. So here's what we're going to cover. First of all, accurate measurement includes attribution and these particular conversion types: phone calls, store visits, mobile web conversions, and cross-device conversions is what we're going to cover here today. We're going to leave out app installs because, as I understand, most of our partners don't really leverage that as a conversion for their clients. If you do, there's some great insight on Think with Google that will allow you to get a greater understanding of attribution towards app installs. So let's get started, right? First and foremost, how many of you use one of these particular types of measurement? Last click, which is essentially the last interaction where all the credit is going to go to the last source or the last interaction with the client. Time decay. Recent sources valued higher than older sources is what that means. Linear, essentially credit distributed equal across all sources. Position-based, first and last sources each receive 40% of the credit and 20% is distributed across all other sources, or first interaction, all credit to first source. Think about which one do you use. Now, here's the reality is that most advertisers still use last click to measure the success of their overall online advertising campaigns. This means, again, they give all the credit of a conversion to the last clicked keyword. But as I mentioned, the path to conversion is extremely complex with the amount of sources of information that we consult. So campaigns also might not generate a ton of conversions right away. And if we're just measuring last click, we're going to say, wow, this particular campaign is not working for us. We need to go back to the drawing board. But if we look at the level of influence and assist that take place, we're going to set our customers up for extreme success and help make impactful decisions about their marketing strategy. Think about it like this, okay? The concept of assist conversion, number of conversions assisted by a given channel. Now, think about the Chicago Bulls in the 90s, right? Michael Jordan, unbelievable. Now, Michael Jordan was paid $33 million a year towards the end of his career. And Scottie Pippen, the guy that was setting them up for assists, was paid $11 million a year. So not only are you paying a premium for the individuals that are making the shots or converting for you, but you have to pay for the individuals getting the assists, right? Think about John Stockton and Karl Malone, to name one. Or what I like, Steph Curry and Kevin Durant today with my Golden State Warriors. Shout out to them going to the finals. Woo-ha, right? So think about hockey as well. Hockey takes it a step greater. The last two individuals that touch the puck actually get an assist, which is more closely aligned to how we want to accurately measure and attribute our dollars towards different marketing channels. So think about this. Assist ratios are calculated by dividing assist conversions by last click conversions, okay? Just like the NBA and how we're calculating the salaries, the ability for a player to score is going to dictate how much money they're going to make. And more than likely, it's going to be more than the individual that's making the assist. So in this particular example that you see here, the assist ratio that is greater than 1 is going to actually align with a channel of an assist conversion. If it's less than 1 conversion, is mostly attributed to the last click. So again, measuring assist ratio in that particular conversion is dividing assist conversions by last click conversions. And we'll show you how to do that in GA here in just a couple of minutes. Before we dive into that, I think it's really important to understand what the ratio is actually telling us, right? If a channel is more likely to assist or is close to a particular conversion. Now, it can be a time between first sight as well as conversion up to 90 days, which is completely fine. But we need to understand what's more likely to be an assist touch point. This screenshot you're seeing is a tool that is available within Think with Google that you can leverage to look at what channels might be assisting you. Keep in mind that when you go through this, you're also going to want to look at the other end, what's most likely to be the last touch point, okay? Again, time between the first visit and conversion can be up to 90 days. So when we show our clients the channels that are better converting, this is extremely important deciding which channels to attribute most of the budget to. It makes complete sense. But it would be extremely irresponsible for us to not attribute any value to the assist channels or the influence levers and simply go towards the last touch point. We have to distribute budget across all of these channels to ensure that our clients are going to have maximum success. So let's take a look at this, right? Where does this particular metric live in GA? And follow me as I walk through this particular sheet that you're looking at. The assist conversion report is in a multi-channel funnel. And where this lives, if you go to conversion report, multi-channel funnels, assisted conversion. From there, you're going to sort by assisted conversion, highest to lowest. So you can clearly see here which channels are best for what. Side note, in the screenshot, you can look at numbers 1, 2, and 3 and notice that these are custom channels. You can learn more about how to create these in GA IQ resources as well as in the Analytical Help Center. Now, as you can see here, creating really a custom channel creates an even better picture as to which channels are better at converting. Just look at number 3, display and video. Upper funnel look at the assist ratio is at 29. That's insane. Without looking at these assist ratio reports, many advertisers would have likely eliminated display and video, that entire upper funnel, because it's not necessarily converting, but it's definitely an assist at 29. Pretty incredible, right? So do we even need to worry about attribution? This is a question that I get very often as I travel around the world discussing different methods of measurement, attribution, and all things that have to do with Google. Well, so the question, again, do you need to worry about attribution? Well, let's answer that right now. The true answer is it really depends, okay? So measured potential of attribution is really looking at the size of the Assist business. Now, this that you're looking at is an actual screenshot. The way that you would do this is you need to set up an appropriate look back window, and then you go to Conversions, Multi-Channel Funnels, Overview. Now, as you can see from the report that we pulled here, is that 35% of the business is impacted by Assist interactions. This completely solidifies the need for attribution. Now, going back to this screenshot here, after you've gone through and seen what that overview looks like, you go Conversions, Multi-Funnel, Channel Funnel, Overview, then Conversions, Multi-Channel Funnels, and then look at the top conversion paths. And you're going to be able to pull specific reports that are leveraging the attribution across multiple channels. Specifically, what we want to look at is mobile. Now, here's the rule that we like to leverage. If an assist to a business is less than 20% attribution, we might look at that as having little impact. So there might not be a real priority there to start tracking attribution. Remember, less than 20%, not really necessarily a need to track attribution. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, but it might not be an extreme priority for that particular business. But if your client's Assist business is over 20%, what do you need to do, right? Let's dive in and see. First, what we need to do is consider default models, because if they're over 20%, then we certainly need to set up attribution modeling. So first, we need to consider, like I said, default models. Now that we know that we don't need to use last click, we can understand certain attributes of what's taking place here. First, interact, right? Awareness campaigns should be highly valued here, as well as for exposure. Linear, stickiness campaigns designed to maintain contact and push people through the conversion path at each touch point, because we have to understand that each touch point that our customers are facing is extremely valuable as well as important. Position-based, understanding when exposure and closer are the most valuable. Time decay, short time consideration to purchase, 1 to 2 day promotion, lots of exposure to various media. We can do that, as well as customize and reflect our own programs as needed. But start with a simple rules-based model to introduce this particular concept to your advertisers. Start with default. Really, from there, we can build a preliminary custom model. If our customers seem to be more advanced, define rules based on insight, really from what their analysis is. This is the model comparison tool. And again, start with default, but once you're more comfortable with default models and you understand your client's business, consider checking out this custom model that you're able to leverage with the model comparison tool. This is a high-level walkthrough that I'm going to step through with each click of my mouse here, so stay close with us here, okay? So first, we go last non-direct click, excuse me, and then you have the ability to pick which particular custom model, and it looks like this. Custom model 1, custom model 2, and then you'd walk through. If you didn't have a custom model, you'd have to create your new custom model. When you create that custom model, you have the ability to create or edit an attribution model. And you can do a baseline model, whether that's position-based, time decay, last click, etc., that we discuss. And then you're able to specify the amount of conversion credit based on a particular position if we leverage position-based. Based on interaction, first, middle, or last. That has to add up to 100%. From there, we can also adjust credit for impressions, whether that is 0.25 all the way up to 1, and then you can look at when impressions preceded a visit by a specific number of hours, which I always think is pretty important. This is going to help us link offline to online as we near the future technologies. When we look at mobile specific, setting up these custom models are crucial. And then from there, you can apply custom credit and rules that are going to match what you're trying to accomplish. This is really an opportunity for you to be able to match the KPIs that a customer has based on specific marketing channels to either A, unlock specific budget across mobile and other channels as well, B, save dollars revenue in different channels that are hopefully already locked in so that individuals don't want to move those. You have the ability to dictate spend based on customary models leveraging this particular tool. and then apply these custom credit rules. This example here is view page depth greater than a specific number. That's going to allow you to estimate and look at the preliminary custom model for attribution. Now, the model comparison here, if you look at this particular tool, is really significant because it's going to allow us to reallocate conversions, CPA, and ROI under this particular custom model and compare that to the overall last click. If we compare this to the last click, it's going to give us great legs to stand on conversations about mobile to unlock that invisible spend that exists within our clients' budgets. So how do we do this, right? Top takeaways for you. Know that assist conversions matter and where to find that data in your multi-channel funnels report. Now, if assist business is greater than 10%, you need to think about attribution. That is the baseline, right? Start with the default model first until you get more comfortable. Do not use last click attribution. And then fourth, compare attribution models to show undervalued or even overvalued channels. See, what I love about this is a lot of the time we're discussing the undervalued capabilities of different spend. But what a lot of advertisers are doing is they're spending too much money on different channels that might not have too much value in either conversion or assist, which is a huge challenge. This gives you great confidence to walk in with that customer and explain what's taking place and what's happening. So let's talk about cross-device conversions. Earlier, I had mentioned cross-device conversions and how the consumer journey is extremely difficult to dictate, to map, as they're going to so many different sources of information before they make a purchase. So when we talk about cross-device conversion, we need to implement these in our account and talk about some best practices for optimizing. First and foremost, three things: an overview, talk about accuracy, and actionability. So an overview of this is just measuring cross-device conversions when someone clicks on AdWords ad on device and then converts on another. So we have to do this with individuals that are actually Google signed-in users, which is huge and pretty cool, and then extrapolate that particular cross-device across non-signed-in users as well. Accuracy, right? Conversions only surface that are at 95% confidence interval. This is actually pretty huge. Actually, drug companies can put out prescriptions that have 95% confidence intervals as well. This is the same confidence interval that any sort of drug, like I'd mentioned, is released to the public. So we have to understand that this is not an apples to apples comparison. But when we think about health versus the confidence versus a cross-device confidence, that's pretty darn good in my opinion. And then actionability. Can we actually use these in automated bidding? So how do we use those in automated bidding, whether it be MBids, and how those should be evaluated based on cross-device conversions? And we'll discuss this as we walk through. First and foremost, discussing the benefits of cross-device conversion. Avoid the data overload, right? At last count, there were 30 different conversion metrics that someone could use to analyze. That's insane, right? And not to mention, it creates a tremendous amount of confusion between different teams, and that means that you're most concerned about different instances. It's very difficult. What a cross-device conversion is going to allow you to do is avoid that overall data overload. Furthermore, when we talk about a benefit from cross-device conversions, we're able to use this for automated bidding, as you can see from the screenshot here. This metric is now the key success metric that you have to implement for optimization decisions and automated bidding. Absolutely crucial as you move forward with your clients. All right, so some best practices when we talk about cross-device conversions. First and foremost, you have to facilitate cross-device actions by giving the possibility to log in. Well, why is this important? If a user can't convert on their current device, really it makes it easy to save and convert later. Move beyond your conversion tags when you're thinking about your site. Think about what cross-device actions you can actually facilitate. If a user can't convert on their current device, make it easy to save and convert from later. Like I said, in this particular instance, you can email or socially share an item so that you'll be able to act on it at a later point in time and create a conversion for them. You want to do more than count all of that at your conversions. You want to get more of those conversions from cross-device so you can extrapolate it, as well as make it easy for users to be able to convert regardless of what device they're on. Number two, use the same tag for desktop, mobile sites, and apps, right? Why do you need to do this? You need consistent tracking to capture cross-device behavior. So this important technology, really considered to capture the most possible cross-device conversions, is really just to simply be consistent with this tagging. Use the same conversion tag across these devices, like I said. But one caveat, if you have a responsive design site, then you really don't have to worry about it. It's really a non-issue. But if you're using two different versions of the same site, again, be sure that this is consistent in its tagging. Consistent tracking captures cross-device behavior. That's why we want to do it. Your site, your apps need to have that same understanding of what a conversion is so that you can appropriately track that behavior across all different devices that the user may be navigating with. Number three, align ads with what someone can do on a current device, right? Why is this important? Users are more likely to complete a task if they know that the task will be achievable in their current situation. We don't necessarily want to leverage a particular extension on a mobile device that really is valuable on a desktop, as well as vice versa. So ensure that the ad formats as well that you're using are achievable in a particular device, especially when we're looking towards mobile users. Let's talk about phone call conversions, right? This is a really simplistic concept, but I think that there's a couple of learning points that we can take away from this particular section. First and foremost, just make it easy for customers to call you. What? Is your mind blown? I don't think so, right? But leverage call extensions. Enable your customers to click to call directly from search ads. This is important because it increases obviously the call volume and also increases the click-through rate, which is the most important contributing factor in the AdWords algorithm. So do you guys remember what it used to be like when you tried to call someone from a mobile device, right? You'd click on an ad, you'd zoom in over to contact us, and then you'd zoom in on the phone number, you'd click on it, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't actually click on this. You'd look at your friend and you'd say, okay, I'm going to remember 321. You need to remember 7142, okay? And then you go on your phone, 321, you look to your friend, and they'd have no idea what that number was. Terrible user experience. Don't be that business. If you're not leveraging these call extensions to make it easier for individuals to get in touch with you, then you're really letting the customer base down, and likely you're going to drive call conversion lower and lower. So measuring call performance, right? You have to do this from ads that on your end as well as on your website. Leverage Google forwarding numbers, and that enables rich call reporting. So the way this works is that you route the call through a unique number that we're able to track a lot of insight from and associate with the overall campaign strategy that you're implementing. Your phone rings, obviously, just as it normally would, and most of you understand this concept, right? The important part about this is that it allows us to see which keyword ads, ad group, ad campaigns are best driving phone calls to your advertiser's business. Understanding that particular ROI can make better informed decisions for your particular customers. So this is truly one of the most valuable things that we can understand about the true value of mobile, is leveraging call extensions so that we can provide instant data on what campaigns are actually converting and creating the biggest ROI for us. So we can measure the impact of phone calls, right? Using these numbers for phone call conversions in our AdWords reporting, leverage these call extensions in mobile ads, and then you can also look at views from your site using website call conversions, which is also important. Leverage auto bidding to optimize around these particular phone calls and conversations. Simple click of the button based on what ads, ad groups, keywords, etc. are providing the most amount of phone calls and conversions. Automate that bidding process to optimize around those particular conversions. And then lastly, see clicks on the call button or look at what that actually is in converting at and your mobile site with what we call the event tracking tool. All easy implementable stuff to win that invisible mobile spend and unlock that true value of mobile for your customers. So device to store conversions, okay? Now, I understand that some people think store traffic is decreasing and everything is moving to online sales. But in a way, I mean, I guess that's true, but the value of those store purchases actually continues to rise. And a lot of that is derivative from individuals on their smartphones and their devices. And we need to figure out how we can leverage device to store conversions, improve the value of mobile as well as desktop to our overall customers. So there's 4 keys to successfully driving store sales. First is targeting consumers, right? I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on these 4 because I understand that a lot of you don't have clients where you're trying to drive in-store sales. But it's still important to understand because this directly correlates with the full value of mobile. So targeting customers in the right locations. Secondly, we have to actually create the right ad for these individuals to drive them to an in-store purchase. And then we can measure the offline impact of our online spend. And then lastly, optimize for the optimal channel and performance and the omni-channel performance tool. So let's think about it this way. Like I said, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but target very quickly around this. If you have stores, you've hopefully actively targeting people on mobile who are nearby, right? I mean, obviously we're all doing that, but ideally people immediately find the store's address and opening up hours when they search too. So if you see a lot of that kind of stuff, running local inventory ads, it can be a really great indicator if something is in stock in the store. Probably makes sense for them to go there. So local inventory ads are going to tell people, what we've got and if we're close to them. So I highly recommend leveraging these as well as location bid adjustments to reach nearby customers to show these particularly relevant ads. So how do we measure the impacts? I told you I'd be quick on this, right? Measure get direction clicks on location extensions in our mobile ads. This is a significant tool to identify if people are interested in coming to our store from our ads. Use Google Analytics to see how many mobile visitors view our store locator page and measure coupon downloads with event tracking. And then lastly, experiment with unique coupons or geo-targeting ads in specific locations that are going to directly measure sales uplift. I can't tell you how important this is if you have a store or a physical location that you're trying to drive people into. Leverage that particular geo-targeting ads. All right, so what do we cover, right? Accurate measurement includes attribution and these conversion types when we talk about looking at the full value of mobile. We have to understand how we're driving phone calls, store visits, mobile web conversions, as well as cross-device conversions. We discussed how to set up attribution models. Here's the thing. When we talk about looking at the full value of mobile, as well as any channel, when we look at cross-device conversions especially, what we've been told for generations in advertising is create some stimulus with some sort of offline advertising to drive that first moment of truth. When someone, that point of decision, when someone has 3 to 7 seconds to decide if they want to buy your product or service on the aisle of a store, in a grocery store or retail store. The reality is that most of the customers that we're helping, they don't have a product or service that's being sold in a grocery store, right? So this mental model has never really been accurate. And I'll admit though, once we've gotten into digital marketing, Google really is to blame. We are to blame because we said, hey, the heck with that mental model. We have the ability now to look at the last click and how consumers are actually converting and interacting with your ads. It's still a valuable tool, but unless we're leveraging attribution, it's super difficult for us to understand the full value of mobile to unlock that invisible spend. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's Academy on Air. We're not doing any live Q&A, so go ahead and post your questions in the Partners Community page. We really appreciate you joining us, and we'll hope you join us next week for that edition of Academy on Air. Thank you.